We do have your slides now. Very good. You all set? Okay. Call the meeting to order of the Economic Development and Planning Committee meeting. Please take the roll.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 3:02 p.m., and as a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Schran,
Here?
Mr. Kelly,
Here.
Ms. Simon, Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent. Mr. Byrne,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Yes, and I see that Councilmember Dale Miller is here in attendance, and welcome. Has there been anyone sign in for public comment?
No public comment has been received.
Okay. There's been minutes from the July 8th, 2024 distributed. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Been moved, the chair will second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes have been approved. Going to the next item, we have an item of, for reading in the record of, actually 3 items. If we could please read the first one into the record.
Yes. Resolution 2024-0285, authorizing an amendment to a contract, a development loan in the amount not to exceed $10 million to Playhouse Square Foundation for the benefit of the Lumen at Playhouse Square project to extend the due date of the loan from September 13th, 2024 to September 13th, 2025 upon payment of $5 million in principal plus accrued and unpaid interest.
Is there anyone from the administration to speak on behalf of this?
Brian Edwards, Department of Development. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee. Yes, this is being presented today based on a request of the Playhouse Square Foundation. This project is in connection with the Lumen project. The goal of this is to preserve the cash flow for the Playhouse Square Foundation while maintaining the debt service on the county's loan obligation. So what we've put forward is a $5 million plus accrued and unpaid interest in September, and then on 2025 at a higher rate of 5%, the remaining $5 million will be due with quarterly payments of interest at 5% on that loan. The loan is secured 100% by cash. We have a pledge and security agreement that's governed by a deposit control agreement. So the county controls the intermediary account held with Key Bank. As the manager of the loan portfolio, on a monthly basis, we examine those statements. And as long as they need to remain over $10 million, and they have, and upon the graciousness of this committee to let this item proceed, we would reduce the cash reserve in the endowment to match $5 million, so we'd still be at 1-to-1. So cash has no deductible value, so it will always maintain, and we'll maintain the account to ensure that it remains at the $5 million.
So the cash reserves is on a dollar-for-dollar basis. As it's
Correct.
paid down, the security goes down with it
Correct.
to the point where
Yes.
we're fully covered.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any questions from a financial standpoint to the administration? Yes.
I just have a question. Why? Why are we extending this?
Sure, and we have 2 guests from Playhouse Square
Okay,
here today.
so you're
that can
just talking
explain.
about, sorry.
Yeah, we're
Chair,
No problem.
strictly on the numbers side right this moment. Then we have people from Playhouse Square's.
Based on, and I'll let them go into greater depth, but it's based on the capital projects that they've are planning and have planned and have since moved on, and this is an opportunity for them to preserve that while we maintain.
And so there's never been a payment missed,
Correct.
and we're still going to get this 5 paid now
Correct.
in order to extend?
Correct.
As an incentive or just to what?
We're going to get it, so it's a good faith showing
Good
of,
faith.
of the foundation to pay down half of the principal balance.
Okay,
And also accept that the remaining $5 million will be at a rate of interest of 5%. So the county will actually be getting a little bit more return.
got it.
On that.
Thank you.
No problem.
Other questions for anybody to the administration before you leave as far as from the finance? Because our 5% is actually based on the Investment Advisory Committee. I think our Star Ohio is getting about 5.6, so this is, which is only an overnight fund. This is actually long-term, so we actually get a longer performance. And in the interest of the taxpayers, this sounds like a better place to have our money parked than it would be in an overnight fund in that respect. So is there someone from Playhouse Square that wants to speak on behalf? And by the way, this can be reduced in height. Oh, there we go.
I'm going to introduce Patricia Gull. She's the Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel for Playhouse Square Foundation.
Okay,
And is just getting over, recovering from back surgery.
okay.
Thanks, Patricia. As well as the Chief Financial Officer, Tim McDonald.
Are we going to bring up a chair so you can sit? Would you like
I think I'll be okay for
Well, you prefer, okay, it's up to you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Thank you, Brian. Oh, thanks.
Okay, if you could state your name and put your name on the record, I appreciate it.
Yes, my name is Patricia Gall, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel for Playhouse Square Foundation. First, I would like to thank Chairman Tron and all of the committee members for authorizing this original loan of $10 million that was issued in 2019, and it was used to finance the Lumen residential project of 318 apartment units. It was a $140 million project. As Mr. Edwards mentioned, this loan is fully secured by Playhouse Square funds. And, this was a very significant piece of the funding for this project that was transformative to the Playhouse Square neighborhood. I should mention that Playhouse Square also has skin in this game. We put over $25 million as an equity investment in this project. The loan, as Mr. Edwards mentioned, matures this September, and we requested deferring half of the payment until September of next year and increasing the interest rate from 3.5% to 5%. Approving this amendment would be extremely helpful to Playhouse Square, as Mr. Edwards mentioned, just from a cash flow perspective, because we are making a significant investment in the neighborhood this year, not only to benefit, all of the tenants and residents of the Playhouse Square area, but really just as an economic development, stimulus for the entire downtown area. So we will be spending over $40 million in capital this year. Approximately $22 million is being spent on some apartment buildings that are being built in the Bulkley Building, 84 units that will be completed this December. We also have two major tenants moving, one expanding and one moving into the Hannah Building and Bulkley Building. We're investing several $1 million to build out those spaces, once again, to, get more workers into the downtown area, to just, help with the economy for the retail and all the downtown area. We're also doing work in the Bulkley Building. We are redoing the facade. This building's about 100 years old, replacing elevators, a lot of capital maintenance that needs to happen in those older buildings. So it's a very, very heavy cash expenditure year for us in terms of CapEx. So allowing us to defer $5 million until next September will be extremely helpful to us. And as Mr. Edwards mentioned, we're fully prepared and able to secure the $5 million with a cash account. Oh, I'm sorry, and excuse me, one other thing I forgot. Another use of our funds, in case you'd missed it, we recently acquired the Greyhound bus station. Obviously the bus company is still there, but they should be moving out in the next few months. And we will be renovating that bus terminal into an entertainment space for the area. Can't believe I forgot about that.
Questions from Ms. Gall? Yes.
Can you
Ms. Snyder?
elaborate on the entertainment space?
Sure, not a lot at this point, only because we've engaged StreetSense, a consulting firm, to evaluate the space and the whole downtown neighborhood, to advise us on the best use of the space, what would be most complementary to our neighborhood in downtown Cleveland. And we expect to have that in late fall, and then we'll start developing plans. But, there have been a lot of conversations about having sort of a supper club on the first floor of that space. There are spaces upstairs that may lend themselves to different types of bar concepts or, food and beverage concepts. So those are the types of things that we're looking at, but we're going to wait for the study to come back to provide better information.
So pre-theater, post-theater?
Yes,
place.
right. We're trying to find things that will complement what's happening in the theater, so that, most theater events are ticketed and people come down for a specific event. We're trying to create some other activity that doesn't require a ticket, and it can be a before or after, or it could just be people coming down to the area that aren't attending a show.
Yeah, for the vibe and the whole scene.
Right.
The Lumen, is that full totally? What's the status of that?
Yeah, the Lumen is 88% occupied and is doing very well.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? In full disclosure, I don't serve on the board, but I serve as council's representative to the board, and so it's pretty exciting to see what all is going on. And maybe you might even allude to some of the challenges that the Lumen had to go through last year. That was also put pressure on it with the water and
The water damage?
Yeah, because I'm not sure everybody will be aware of it, but that makes it really tough to occupy when you have to vacate the building for that. If you could just cover that just for a few minutes.
Sure. It was just about a year ago, it was in August. There was a water leak that went down one section of the building for several floors. It was very significant damage. We had to, in about a 72-hour period, vacate about 38 units, and it required finding temporary housing, finding a company to pack up all the belongings and put them into storage, get the contractors, get all the work done to, put everything back in place, and then move the residents back in and get all their belongings moved back in. And it took us about 4 months until everyone was back in, maybe a little bit longer, actually. It was a very big project. It took us a little bit of time to recover, but we're doing well, so.
Very good. And then the $5 million that's going to come due on the second half come next year, is that going to change as far as when the payment would be made on that?
No, it would still be in September of '25, and we'll be prepared to make that payment.
Okay. And is there any anticipation that you think that perhaps between now and September there would be another subsequent request to extend it, or are you comfortable that that's not going to be necessary?
We're comfortable that this should be it.
Okay. Other questions from anyone? And I see you have somebody else from Playhouse Square to speak.
Yes, Tim McDonald?
Yep. Please take the microphone. If you.
I think he has nothing to add, but unless there are questions.
Oh, there's nothing else to add?
Yeah.
Oh, well, all right, then. You came all the way down here. I thought perhaps you're going to sing a song or something. So from that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Edwards, do you have something else you want to bring forth?
I would like to humbly request that this motion, if approved, be approved under suspension of the rules at the next council meeting at the second reading. The reason I'm making that request is because of the time frame of council's recess and the time that $5 million will be due. By passing it on the 30th, it'll allow us and the Playhouse Square to get all the documentation, amendments signed together before that $5 million plus interest.
Well, seeing how I did indicate that I sat as an observer on Playhouse Square's board, the time delay was not council.
No.
It was administration who didn't move fast enough. So we can move very quickly on the legislation. Can you get this the documentation done from the executive side of the aisle? And I hope so.
I apologize, I misunderstood the last part of your question.
I just know how long it took to get the Lumen funds over to them, and if you can get the paperwork done, we will do our part to speed it up. I just hope that you will do the same.
Oh,
thing.
yes, we definitely will. We've, working with the
I'm
law
putting the burden
department.
on you folks out there.
Yeah, we've already identified the documents that need to be
Okay,
amended.
all right.
Because of the security involved, we need to work with the intermediary bank to enter into the new deposit control agreement, but.
Okay.
Chairman Trahan, what took so long for this to come before us?
Oh, not this time.
Oh.
On the funding, on the original.
Get them the
original
money, to
funding on
get them the
aluminum part.
money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now you want suspension too, because we're going on recess. And you
that
want
is
to have
correct.
time to get the money.
Not,
Documents,
the
so
documents.
there's no
the
money being
documents.
dispersed.
There's no money.
It's just so we can get the amended documents done in time so that the $5 million payment, which is due in September,
Mm-hmm.
can be made under the guise of the contract being in place, the amended contract, the
Well,
amended
the
document.
only thing I have to say is, I'm not going to object to a suspension, but I think you could probably move forward if it passes out of committee with getting all your documentation together in the month of August. And when we come back, we'll have a second reading, the next council meeting next week, and then beginning of September, it probably will be passed. But you'll have your documents ready to go before the 13th. I'm just pointing that out. I don't mind suspending, but I
Yeah.
think there's sufficient time, to get this together.
Well, the good news is if we get the documents prepared, then we can start charging interest at 5% versus 3.5%. So,
It's effective September 3rd. It's not effective until the 13th, so
right,
we
right.
really,
I just would hate to miss that.
I don't think we will, but I don't. If they're only going to do the documents if we suspend, I guess that's the.
No, that's not the case. We just wanted to ensure that there was no delay moving forward so we can be guaranteed that we'd have the proper amended documents in place so that we could, from a
Okay, well,
ethical
it's
standpoint,
fine.
accept
if
the
my
money.
colleague doesn't have any objection, and if there's no other objection for other voting members, the chair will actually move for a second reading suspension and move this out to the full committee, or full council. But I'm going to be making sure that they get their documentation cranked up too. But then we'll put a test on it, see if you can get Ms. Simon to support her belief that you can get this done faster. I know you can.
It'd be
Is there a
great
second?
to prove that. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on moving this out? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
The clock is running. Thank you. Next item.
Resolution 2024-0286, authorizing an economic development loan in an amount not to exceed $2 million to PPT Real Estate Holding LLC or its approved designee for the relocation, expansion, and renovation of Park Place Technologies campus located at 747 and 755 Alpha Drive in the city of Highland Heights.
Is there someone here from the administration to speak on behalf of this?
Yes, Anthony Stella with Department of Development. Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. I am here to speak on the Park Place Technologies project. And is that? I have some slides they're gonna load up, but okay, it's right there. So we will be entering into an agreement with PPT Real Estate Holdings LLC, which is a real estate holding company created for this project. They have acquired the former Progressive Insurance building in Highland Heights. The location is right there at 271 and Alpha Drive, north of Wilson Mills Road. As we all know, Progressive Insurance had vacated this site. A lot of their workers are working remotely now, so they're using a lot less office space. So this is a great project for the city of Highland Heights to find a use for that vacant space. This relocation will save 414 jobs in the county. They're being relocated from Mayfield Heights and from Solon at 2 facilities, and they're going to grow 60 additional jobs going forward over the next 3 years. So there's a total of 272,000 square feet of space there on the Alpha of office space and 65,000 square feet of warehouse space, which they will be occupying. So there's some of that information there. Total of 27 acres. And the renovation, they're going to be expanding and renovating the annex building, installing some new labs. There are going to be some facade and entryway improvements, covered walkways, just an improvement to the environment, including pickleball, basketball, just kind of making it, kind of creating a good campus for workers to help attract workforce. So the renovations, the total project is $43.2 million, and I'll get to that in some later slides. Just a little more information there. Again, PPT Real Estate Holdings, LLC. It's an entity for the Park Place Technologies headquarters. And now some information about the company. Park Place Technologies, they're a rapid growing leader in data center support and networking optimization services. They have a broad range of products in the fields, and they handle third-party IT hardware maintenance, IT infrastructure, managed services, data center services, and enterprise performance monitoring. Companies has grown in revenue up through 2023. They continue growing. They've acquired other businesses that are in this same space to help facilitate that grow. And as mentioned earlier, their headquarters is in Mayfield Heights, and they have a distribution center in Solon. This facility will combine both of those uses on one campus. Some other information about Park Place Technologies. They were founded in 1991. Have been a Cleveland area company since then, and they will remain due to this project and to the investment of the county. They've been on the CRN fastest growth list 9 times, and most recently last year in 2023. They've had a 93% growth rate from 2020 to 2022. They've been recognized by Case Weatherhead 100 as a fastest growing company. And again, they've made some acquisitions recently to help continue their growth. They will be creating 60 new full-time jobs, as mentioned earlier, retaining those 414. This helps retain the corporate headquarters in the region in a high-growth company in a high-growth sector, and also bringing that vacant site back to productive use, which is big for that site, for Highland Heights. And we'll see some of the sources and uses here. The company's putting up equity, $18.7 million. Cooperative Business Services, which is a senior lender. It's a consortium of credit unions. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. And so they're putting up $17.5 million. This loan here, if approved, of $2 million. Jobs Ohio is providing $3 million, and Highland Heights is providing a loan for $2 million because it's such an important deal for them. They don't really even have a economic development arm really in Highland Heights, not a lending arm, but they are providing loan dollars to this project because of how important it is to the city. And so some of the loan terms there, as we can see, again, Cooperative Business Services, $17.5 million. They're at an 8.25 10-year term with 25-year amortization. The county is offering a $2 million at 5.5%. Also a 10-year term, but a 15-year amortization to match what Jobs Ohio was doing with their $3 million. And Jobs Ohio is at 5%, Highland Heights at 5% over 7 years. As far as the collateral goes, we will be in a second position shared with Jobs Ohio and Highland Heights. So we're going to be in a pari passu second behind Cooperative Business Services. And then we can see here that we're well collateralized as far as what we require, well under the 90% that we can lend to. And the deal has been, was already approved, not approved, it was recommended through our Cuyahoga County Community Improvement Corporation. It was fully vetted on the financials, and it was, moving forward as a good risk for the county. And again, the loan to value being under 60%, it's very well secured and a great project to keep a company in the county. And I also have Andy Gerlein, who is the CFO of Park Place, here to come and speak, unless you want me to open up questions first and then have him come up.
Yeah, let's
and
open up
speak.
questions to the
Okay.
business transaction side of it, and then we'll talk about the business itself.
Yep.
Are there any questions regarding the loan, the portfolio, the structure, anything of that from?
I guess just a question. So our security is the collateral on the actual real estate?
Yeah, we have the collateral on the real estate, and I'm sorry, we also have a corporate guarantee from the operating company from Park Place Technologies.
A corporate guarantee?
So, yeah,
Okay.
we'll have
Just to-
the
so
loan.
two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions? Anybody else on the committee? You're seeing none. Mr. Miller?
So on the CBS loan and the county and Jobs Ohio loans, the amortization is longer than the term. So does that mean these loans end with balloon payments at the end for the remaining balance?
That's correct. It's typical on senior debt that they will have that shorter term. They often either get restructured at that time, because with bank lending, what they want to ensure that they're not taking on too much interest rate risk by, putting a really long term on there. And, we did 10, we often do a deal where we're shorter than the amortization period. So we would have a very small balloon payment there at the end of year 10, whatever the remainder would be on that principal.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your slide about the corporate guarantee, but it's a newly formed entity, right?
So yeah, let me go through that. So the PPT Real Estate Holdings is the newly formed entity. That is just to own the real estate, which they will be leasing to the operating business, the related company of Park Place Technologies, LLC. That's the actual operating business with the assets, with the cash flows.
I see.
That we'll take the guarantee from. And we're following the same structure that all the other lenders have. So we'll have the same.
So who's going to guarantee from that entity? Is it the officer? Is it just the company itself? Is going to
company-
produce, it's itself is, I'm sure it's been vetted, it's fine.
Yes, yeah, the
It's
company
like it's,
itself, yeah,
you
because
know,
there's,
stable and
Yes.
successful. Okay.
Questions? Yes, Ms. Miller?
A follow-up question, what is the value of having a separate LLC to own the property rather than having the company own it directly?
that's just a business decision. It's fairly common in most deals. Most companies will own the real estate as a separate entity. I pretty much see it pretty regularly on most deals.
Mr. Chair, tax liability protection standard.
But by taking the guarantee, we're secured on both.
And Ms. Simon asked the questions as far as the guarantee, indicated the corporation and the real estate. Is there a personal guarantee that's following for anybody on the regards to this?
No, but there is no, so the ownership is through private equity, so there really isn't.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not an
No,
individual,
they ain't
yeah.
gonna- They ain't gonna stick there, yeah, they won't be part of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you indicated that, so this is moving into Ms. Simon's district.
I knew that was maybe.
You
gonna
knew that
come
was
up.
coming, so I.
But it's right on the edge. It's right on the edge of yours.
Well, no, it's more a question of.
He's
Are you
losing.
working with Solon and Mayfield Heights at all to fill their, because I assume there's going to be some vacant property, vacant spaces that are going to develop. And so I'm just, moving jobs from one location to another doesn't create any jobs. The 60 jobs are. the
Yeah,
new-
there will be
are
some
the
new, and
jobs,
it's
right.
keeping the company here. We'll
Keeping the
certain-
jobs, obviously,
yeah,
is an
Yeah,
important
we
thing.
certainly can reach out to, I know the company has notified them that they are leaving, and, if there's any need they have, we would definitely try to help out to fill that space.
What's the
both
timing
in-
of this?
What's that?
What's the timing to move into the space?
I
So
believe,
as to when the vacancy is going to create, because I know that, I know both, the mayors of both those communities are going to be saying, okay, what can we do to try and fill this space,
Sure,
their
sure.
spaces? Right.
and, we're always able to help out. They're looking, I think, about October this year is when this is, going to be happening. And,
Okay.
we're always happy to work with the, Economic Development Director over there in Mayfield Heights. I know that Jeremy, I can reach out to him.
Well, and Solon also.
Yes, and of
Mayor
course.
Kraus, I'm sure, would love to have somebody moving into that space too. So,
Yes.
Not that,
Theirs might be a little easier because it's warehouse space, so that
Right.
might be a little easier to fill.
well, and I'm a big advocate of keeping jobs here, so if this is that proponent, we'll worry about the second half later on, but let's.
Right,
we'll
right.
take care of the now and.
It
and move
really
on.
worked out for them to find this site too, that it really worked to help keep them in the.
How much
in
is
the
left
area.
of Progressive space? This has got to be one of the bigger chunks.
This was one of the one of the bigger ones. I believe the main campus is still in use, and I don't,
Yeah, but that's
I'm not
being
sure.
by Progressive, but I thought there were a number of buildings that they had vacated.
yeah, I know this was one of the bigger ones, I believe, yeah.
Okay, very good. Any other questions based on the chair's questions?
I did, I was going to wait till they came up,
Sure.
but it's, maybe they'll answer, whoever's here from the operating company about do they own outright the building at Landerbrook and in Solon? Is that an LLC or is it leased?
That space there is leased space.
It's leased, so there was no ownership in either of the Solon or Mayfield?
I'm certain, yeah, they're both leased, yes. I knew that the Landerbrook was leased. Yes,
Okay.
they're both leased space,
Okay,
yes.
that's good.
So why don't we'll get the operating company to come up and talk on, and tell us about the project itself, as far as from the business standpoint?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Andy Garoline. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Administrative Officer of Park Place Technologies. Been with the company for 4 years. Anthony did a good job of covering really the details of the loans. I was here more to give you some more color about Park Place Technologies. As a privately held company, we don't publicly report our numbers. We advertise a little bit in the area, and we're getting a little better about that. So really try to tell you a little bit more about what we do and answer any questions you have. Again, we are a data center infrastructure optimization company. We basically take care of IT equipment at any point in time in the life cycle from purchase to disposition. The largest piece of our business is what is called TPM, or third-party maintenance. The county and any other customers, you maintain servers somewhere in a data center. You buy them from one of the OEM manufacturers. They come with a 3-year warranty. We come in and take over the maintenance of those servers and other equipment when that OEM warranty has expired. We can do it for a lot less money than the OEM and at a much better service level. So that is the nature and the largest piece of our business today. We've continued to expand into other parts of the overall IT lifecycle and can really help customers in many different ways. We've really been growing tremendously. Anthony referred to some very large growth rates. That growth is both organic and also through acquisition. We've completed approximately 29 acquisitions in the last about 6 years, both domestic and international. We have about 2,300 employees on a global basis. And in our Mayfield Heights headquarters location today, we have approximately 415 employees. It is a leased facility. The Solon warehouse that we have is another leased facility. In fact, this campus that we are moving into is the one and only purchased and owned building that we will have in the entire company. We felt it was very important to own our headquarters and to secure and have the growth potential for us. We've been in the county since 1991, Chagrin Falls, Mayfield Heights, really for the past 10 or so years. Big commitment to the area. Our CEO, Chris Adams, is local, sits on several boards of charitable organizations in Cleveland. We often have them in for our annual fundraising campaign and charitable giving campaign. We just wrapped that up. And really committed to the area. We were very pleased to find this campus that had enough space to accommodate really the entire company here. A little bit about the project. I guess there is a slide deck. I'm not sure if it's up or not, but
Yep. It's been loaded, let's say.
it's been loaded. I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's coming.
okay.
she'll give you the command button.
I've covered really just a lot of the introductory slides here. And in terms of the project itself, as Anthony said, it's approximately a $43 million total cost. We purchased the building for $17.5 million. That is 2 office buildings, a third dedicated warehouse building, and then a 4th parking garage, and then lots of parking spaces. We will occupy from the start, and for those of you who drive the area, and you may recognize the buildings, we will occupy 100% of the newer glass-looking building that you can see directly facing 271. There's an older brick building behind that that's more 1970s vintage. We will occupy the entire first floor of that building. We'll have the second floor for growth. We are not going to occupy at the start the separate warehouse building. In fact, we are converting a portion of the older brick building into a warehouse, and that's where we are consolidating and moving our Solon, Ohio small leased warehouse space into. And we actually have some jobs that will be moving from out of state in terms of Massachusetts and Kentucky that'll be moving in this direction.
So is that part of the 60?
No,
headcount?
that is, well, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, yes, that is part of the 60 that'll be coming in.
Okay. And then hopefully, there you go.
Yeah, so that, I quickly hit that. That's our local leadership and CEO. Brief, I touched on many of these. It's a brief overview of our customer profile and our size, and where we deal with customers large and small, half the Fortune 500, but really 21,500 customers, so a lot of small and medium-sized businesses as well.
You're not a data storage company. You are strictly doing the hardware.
We maintain the hardware,
Right.
and then we've expanded into various patching. We can manage the network for people, and today's day and age, it's very difficult in many respects to maintain on staff at our customers a highly skilled IT team to maintain their network and their operations on a 24/7 basis. We can do that for them and just spread that across all of our technicians and field engineers and people across the world. We have 24/7 follow the sun coverage on a worldwide basis. A little bit about the project. Again, $43 million in total cost. We purchased the building for $17.5 million. We're putting in about $18 million in construction, really in both of the 2 buildings. We're enclosing some of the parking garage to provide a little nicer environment for our employees in the winter, putting in a covered walkway to walk from the building, and then just the amenities, really expanding some outdoor exercise space, an indoor gym, cafeteria, meeting space. As a company that's really hiring many employees and growing substantially, we really want to have the amenities that will help attract and retain employees. It's been a large part of our success and really expanding on those efforts. In terms of what it means for Highland Heights, and yes, we are unfortunately moving those jobs out of Mayfield Heights and Solon into Highland Heights. We'll add really a minimum of this 20 employees per year for the next 3 years is what we're talking about there. We'll move about $49 million of payroll into the city of Highland Heights and continue to expand that and grow. We really see into that $60 million range relatively quickly. Cuyahoga County loan of $2 million that we're, appreciate your consideration for Highland Heights, and then yes, Jobs Ohio, talking with them as well. And Anthony showed some pictures, but those are the buildings we're going to occupy at the start, the 2 main office buildings plus the garage. This is an exterior view. It's a sea of concrete today for anybody who knows the area, so we're putting in just some more landscaping and other amenities to make it a little more attractive to the company. There's a quick view of the basketball courts and pickleball courts, which the employees are very excited about. And that is really the view from 271. That will be the kind of main headquarters piece of the building with the garage there to the left and the small covered walkway in between. So that's a little bit about the project. I'm happy to answer any other questions about Park Place or anything that would be helpful to your decision.
Questions? Simon, sure.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for
Your
your,
district, yeah.
thank you. I appreciate you redeveloping, going into an existing space instead of going to a virgin green space. And so, thank you. I appreciate that. Have you considered, as part of your parking, new parking lot situation, permeable pavement, anything like that? You're going to have concrete, or have you considered that when you built this out with the landscape?
So the concrete itself is in good shape. It doesn't require repair, so we are not tearing any out to put new in. What we will be doing is adding in those berms and the grassy areas and some trees that you could see in the picture.
Thank you. And you're probably not aware of bird strikes on the glass, or has anybody looked into that? What was
Yes, I
going
should
on at
look into that
Progressive?
after reading about what happened at Rocket Mortgage.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm not aware of that being an issue to date.
Is that something, okay, I mean, that's not something Progressive will give you, right?
Progressive didn't disclose any
I
of those
see.
issues
I
for us.
figured, right.
We have owned the building. I think we closed in April. And we really have been, working the construction. It took us a while to settle upon the contractor, but we've been under construction for about 2 months. And in that time frame, all the real estate people report up to me. I'm there probably on a weekly basis. I've not been informed of any bird strikes or issues to that front, but
Okay.
that's a good question I will
No,
raise.
thank you. No, I appreciate that. And the last question is, it seems you're moving forward with or without us, right? The county loan component of this?
We are. I mean, the program is under construction. The construction we expect to finish in the October timeframe. It will take roughly a month to begin the furniture installation. Employees begin to move in November, then going forward into December. Your participation in the financing just is very helpful in terms of it's a very challenging market for owner-controlled headquarters financing. And so the rate savings that we will achieve through your loan versus any other commercial efforts just really help us put in more amenities and the size of the building and do everything we can to help grow our business.
No, thank you. And that's why we have this loan program, exactly this type of project. So welcome to Highland Heights, and I appreciate you moving there.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Well, and from the flip side of that, as Ms. Simon was pointing out, the rate is attractive to you, but it's also attractive to us because we're actually gaining more interest than we could get with our investment portfolio out there. So it's a win-win for
Win-win.
both sides. And you're not asking for a grant, so the good, nice thing about that is you're going to pay us back. We can get
Correct.
this money reworking out there for another project out there for her, perhaps for Solon and Mayfield Heights.
Correct.
For another project out there. So from that standpoint, what's your anticipated high end on the head count? You're roughly at just under 500. Where does this go? Where does this go?
It is.
You have plants or opportunities all over the world. We hope you bring them here to Highland Heights.
Yes, I think it's that 20 employee growth per year is a sustainable rate. The big wild card or win is the majority of the 29 or so acquisitions we've made to date have been what we would call tuck-in acquisitions. We purchased our largest competitor at the time in November of 2020, really doubled in size and added a significant number of jobs at our headquarters here. There still are some other large competitors out there that we're always eyeing. So you never know if we do another transformative acquisition that could mean a much larger growth rate for the headquarters office and for the county.
Okay. And this facility could handle, it sounds like the second floor is available to you?
It can, exactly. The second floor of the brick building, and the other reason that we like this, so we're going from today about 100,000 square feet in the leased Landerbrook Drive facility in Mayfield Heights. The two buildings plus the separate warehouse is approximately 330,000 square feet.
Okay.
And so the warehouse today is going to sit empty, and it's going to be there for growth. So we fully envision a day where we will deconstruct the warehouse that we've added in the older brick building, and then go occupy the separate standalone warehouse, which has dock doors and everything that we would need, and create more office space in that brick building.
Okay. Other questions based on the chair? And your workers' comp is fully up to speed?
Fully up to speed, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
because that's, obviously, you know where I'm going with that one. That's the highest risk sport out there nowadays is pickleball. And so, because people back up and they pull their tendons and stuff like
Yes,
that. So
yes.
good luck on that one.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? Hearing none. What's that? If you need to, I don't know that you need to unless there's any the agencies or the circumstances.
I'd also like to make a request if we can pass under second reading due to the recess and to their timeline of construction that's already underway. We'd like to be able to get the loan closed hopefully within August before you return from the recess.
Simon, you want to support this one?
Oh, you know, it's not an emergency. I hesitate to do it, but we can't keep doing this, right? I will get it done. I'll make a motion to, you know, recommend passage at second reading suspension with just a caveat that not every deal is going to get, and I understand.
Understood.
Okay.
And I'll second that. And I really believe that it's because we have 0 meetings in the month of August.
Yeah, there's
And
0,
we'll give you a
yeah.
break on this, but don't bring your regular ones in.
No, not in regular order, never.
Yeah, okay. We like regular order here
Yeah.
out there from that standpoint. Any other comments, questions?
Just I want to add my name. I'm proud to support this.
Great.
Begrudgingly, I'll add my name to lose it out of two of my communities. So with that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess I was supposed to ask if there was any other discussion once it was on the floor. Sorry about that. We have one other item to read into the record.
Resolution 2024-0287, making awards on requisition 13103 to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $3,425,000 for design and administration of a small business program with a focus on minority and women-owned businesses, effective upon contract signature of all parties through June 30th, 2026, for the providers 1 through 6.
And I assume we have somebody here to speak on behalf of this?
Yes, Vaughn Johnson, Department of Development. Mr. Chairman and council, committee members, thank you so much for this opportunity to present the Small Business Supports Program. I'm really excited about this for 2 reasons. One is that this continues Cuyahoga County's support of small businesses, in particular minority and women-owned businesses. It also runs consistent with the launch of the new Office of Small Business, which is also another support mechanism of the county that supports small businesses. So I'm really excited about this, to share this with you today. So I'm going to go over my preamble here before I get into a couple of other items. Cuyahoga County's 5-year economic development plan continues to recognize the importance of small businesses as a key driver of innovation, job creation, wealth creation, and economic opportunity. Within the small business sector, the Cuyahoga County recognizes the need for targeted and active supports to overcome the effects of past discrimination against minority and women-owned businesses, entrepreneurs, and owners in the areas of capital provision and technical business assistance. In August of 2023, through an open, competitive process, the Department of Development proposed to allocate a new round of capital resources and operating funding of $3,425,000 appropriated to help fund various support organizations who would creatively assist small businesses in these key areas. The department requested proposals through an RFQ 13103 from qualified Cuyahoga County-based nonprofit and for-profit entities or partnerships who would design a superior small business supports program or programs and administer such financial and technical assistance to its clientele, with a particular focus on equity and inclusion for minority and women-owned businesses. The RFQ 13103 process looked for the best combinations of financial and technical assistance programs that submitting candidates either already operated or were being newly proposed. The focus was on equity and opportunity in all aspects of minority and women-based small businesses, their ownership, their management, and their workforces. Both established small business programs with records of success, as well as new approach models, were considered. Organizational experience and track record of these arenas was critical. Partnerships of groups coming together in the RFQ were also encouraged. The Department of Purchasing screened and accepted 9 qualifying proposals from the pool of submissions received. These proposals were reviewed through the Department of Development appointed RFQ evaluation panel of small business experts that volunteered to score them and recommended the successful highest scoring applicants for specific grant funding levels, working with the dollars available. These are the 6 of the 9 that scored high enough to be considered for funding. Grow America, formerly the National Development Council, ECDI, Economic and Community Development Institute, Village Capital Corporation, Jumpstart, UBiz Venture Capital, and then there's a partnership between the Hispanic Business Center and HFLA. These are the proposed awards amounts. ECDI, sorry, I need to go to my slide here. ECDI, $983,000 over 2 years. Grow America, $791,666 over 2 years. Northeast Ohio Center for Economic Development recommended award of $650,000. UBiz Venture Capital recommended $350,000. Jumpstart recommended $330,000, and Village Capital recommended $320,000. And of course, there are basic terms to the grant agreement. As I mentioned, the service period is over 2 years. All standards of non-conflict and warranties and indemnities as reviewed by our law department, standard insurance, certificates of insurance, liability coverages were all received, and the special terms were attached in Schedule 1 to the contracts that each of these organizations signed, which could be found in the project and contract methodology. These organizations will also have to report back to the county monthly, quarterly, and report their outcomes and metrics to the Department of Development. Because this is a reimbursement grant, we had to put together a structure in how these organizations would get reimbursed. There's 2 areas for reimbursement. The first one is technical assistance, and that is $100 per hour. So when these organizations sit down with a business one-on-one and provide technical assistance to that business, they can submit an invoice to the county to get reimbursed at $100 an hour for those services. And on the small business lending side, the organization would get reimbursed the amount that they loaned plus an administrative fee, as you can see in that tiered structure. And of course, all reimbursement is always up to the county's discretion. So why the reimbursement model? This reimbursement grant model is a part of our Kaizen approach for continuous improvement and the effectiveness and accountability for our programs. By implementing this model, we aim to ensure that the programs are delivered efficiently and that we can accurately track the impact of these services on the small business community. This model also allows us to better monitor and support the vendors in real time, ensuring that the funds are used as intended and that we can promptly address any challenges or needs as they arise. Ultimately, this approach will enhance the transparency and success of our programs, benefiting both the vendors and the small businesses that they assist. And before I turn it over to these 6 presenters, I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have about the program.
Questions?
A quick one.
Sure. Mr. Burns?
Real quick, who monitors the reimbursable grant?
My team does.
You have,
The ultimate responsibility is mine.
comes back to you, Ben?
Yes, it does.
All right, thanks, Vaughn.
Others? Mr. Miller? Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
So Mr. Chairman, Director, what is the source of funding for the $3,425,000?
It comes from our Economic Development Fund.
And secondly, when you say that all reimbursement is discretionary, how do the grantees have confidence that they're actually going to get reimbursed for their expenditures?
Yeah, so thank you for the question, Councilman. So in their scope of work, it defines what is eligible for reimbursement for technical assistance as well as lending. The reason why it's discretionary, because there may be situations where they're providing some services that might be outside the scope of the agreement. And in that case, what I'm asking them to do is have a conversation with me first before they engage in an activity that they're looking to be reimbursed for. But they do have a scope of services that outlines what they get reimbursed for. An example would be preparing a business plan or a capability statement or financial coaching on becoming bankable, or if they hold a training class, the hours that the trainer spends training is reimbursable at $100 an hour.
So, Mr. Chairman, Director, is there assurance to the grantees that if they provide technical assistance or loans that are consistent with the scope of services agreement that they will be reimbursed?
Well, we have a signed contract with them.
To that effect?
To that effect, yes.
Oh, okay.
Other questions? Ms. Simon?
Yes. So I'm looking at the partners that are listed here on.
Yes.
So is this limited to these partners, or are there more than what are listed?
No, these 6 partners are the ones that scored the highest to receive the funding, proposed funding.
And how many actually applied?
9.
So 6 out of 9?
Well, there was actually 7, but one of the 7 actually is still negotiating their agreement, or would like to.
And what happened to the other ones that
The other
aren't
2,
listed?
they didn't score high enough to receive funding consideration.
And what aspect of the scoring was, in general, like what are you saying in terms of the obstacle to these other companies?
Yeah, it's usually
or partners.
It's usually capacity and programming.
Okay.
Sure.
Just so I understand, it says small business lending, and then you keep using the words, things like grant and things of that nature. So are we loaning the money and being repaid?
No, this is a grant to these organizations, a proposed grant, and those amounts.
And then they're going to lend the money and make a profit on them loaning the money to their clients?
That's correct.
Okay, and so
And
the nearly $3.5 million, the entire amount is going to be granted out there. I understand the grant side for the hours to work, and you're trying to get people up to speed and get their businesses started. But if they're going to loan money to somebody and make interest on it, why wouldn't they be repaying us for what was an actual loan going to the client?
well, when the committee decided to structure the program this way, they looked at the previous grant cycle, and the previous grant actually had a flat fee. This time, it came around to making it a tiered structure that would help compensate those organizations for the loan servicing. There's a tremendous amount of loan servicing that goes on after the loan is actually made, and that is to help compensate them for that.
And all 6 of these groups, I'm a little familiar with a couple of them, but all 6 of these groups are in the business of lending money and collecting money and sending out invoices and all the things that it takes to administratively process a loan?
Well, they do know how to process their services, but all of them do not make loans.
No, that's not an easy transition from being a service provider. I understand they're going to bring quality talent and training and things of that nature. Actually, $100 seems low per hour, so that's the only place would be commenting about. That seems like a low reimbursable rate. But on the other side, to process and be administrator of a loan, to basically be a bank, that's quite a challenge you're asking these organizations to do if they're not in the business and they've never done it before?
Well, the ones that are not in the business and they haven't done it before, they are providing technical assistance. Again, Mr. Chairman, that not all these organizations are providing lending. Some are strictly going to be doing technical assistance.
Oh, okay, so all 6 of these are not doing both these columns?
No, they're not.
So how many are doing technical assistance out of the 6? And how many doing, actually go the other way. The technical, I assume they're all doing technical assistance to some degree.
That's correct.
How many are in the banking business?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6.
Oh, well, 5 out of 6, then,
Is
so,
that right? 5 or 6.
okay. I assume Village Capital, that says that, and I know about Jumpstart, so I assume venture capital. And I know that we've used ECDI, we've used in the past, have we not, for
Yep,
the
we
same?
have.
And for doing a similar program for small businesses out there. Okay. Any questions based on the chair's questions, please?
Question, how did you advertise this program to prospective partners?
It was done through an RFQ.
RFQ? And it seems like we have the usual suspects here, at least a few of them, that always respond and get something. How are we reaching out to more of the minority communities to make sure that they even know that this is available?
So they know that the grant,
This program,
RFQ is
the
available?
RFQ's going out. I mean, do we have just a finite pool of, I don't know if we're doing enough to recruit new partners and different organizations who could benefit from this and we can do business with. So we only got 9 responses, correct?
that's correct.
And what are we doing to expand that universe? I'm concerned about the usual suspects here, and not to disparage these organizations that I'm happy we're partnering with, but I'm sure there's more need out there than the response we're getting.
There definitely is more need, and, these respondents, when they responded to what the requirements were, they met the requirements in terms of programming, capacity, services, the offerings that they actually have, and new programs as well. A couple of the other ones that did not make it, one of them was, there's one that is still working on their contract or trying to negotiate, and there are 2 other minority organizations that are a part of that. So at some point, when this comes back around and for another cycle, perhaps they'll have an opportunity to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm just, every meeting I'm saying this, it's just usual suspects, and we have a lot of money that we can help uplift the community in this county, and I'm not sure we're reaching all of those who could benefit from this, and I think we need a separate meeting on this,
Well,
again.
Well, we have, at least if I understand this program concept 1 is these number of 9 candidates and 6, are they themselves a minority business? And we know that some of these are probably not. And then are there identified clientele that they're going to be contacting? All 6 could be going to, and are required to go to minority businesses, are they not?
That's correct, yes,
So
they are.
even though these 6 might not fall into that category, their clientele has to meet what you've got on these lists.
That's correct. That's the scope of the program.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about that before. We looked at the numbers, and we're supposed to drill down on actual stats about actually the outreach to who's benefiting from the county money going through Jumpstart. We talked about that at the last meeting. I understand that, end users, but I'm sure there's minority companies that we could be partnering with that perhaps aren't getting the word, or it's just not getting out there. That's my only comment. So I really want to explore that further.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, 9's not, there's a lot of money here and opportunity, and 9's not a great, I don't think, response to the potential benefit.
Well, I get, under the numbers you shared with us, Jumpstart is almost the lowest one, within $10,000 of the lowest recipient of the funds out of this program, the rest of these. So let's, if there's no other questions, how about if we hear from the 6 presenters that you are suggesting that are be part of this program? And whatever sequence you want them to come.
So this is the sequence, and the first presenter that you'll hear from is Kwame Botchway of Village Capital Corporation.
And as each one of the speakers comes up to talk, you heard Ms. Simon's questions. If you could be so kind as to highlight how you believe your corporation is satisfying that request to make sure that we've got within your clientele that are going to be using your proceeds of these programs, helping them in a minority and from an inclusion standpoint.
There you go. State your name. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Kwame Botchway. I am the Director of Community Impact and Innovation at Village Capital Corporation. And I have here today with me two colleagues. My colleague here, Jeremiah Triplett, who is our Manager of Small Business Assistance, and my President, Dion Alexander, who is in the back. She might come up for questions, but Jeremiah and I would be responsible for the presentation this afternoon. Okay. I think I have a presentation, but I don't see it on the screen. Yvonne.
Hopefully it's getting loaded. There it is. Oh. Is it part of this entire? Just keep going forward then if it's in the back of this stack.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. So as I mentioned, Village Capital Corporation, we are a CDFI, a community development corporation. We've been a community development financial institution, apologies. We've been in business for the last 3 decades. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, which works with CDCs all across the city of Cleveland and also some of the inner ring suburbs. VCC, since its inception, we've invested over $120 million into projects in the area and have leveraged these for an additional $1 billion in private capital. We've also helped preserve over 850 housing units and over 392,000 square feet of commercial space. As I mentioned, we are a subsidiary of Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, so our strategic mission aligns closely with the work that Cleveland Neighborhood Progress does. So here, part of the things that we do as Village Capital is, one, we are helping to improve the quality of assets and amenities that we have in our communities. We are helping to, neighborhoods and residents build generational wealth, largely through real estate businesses. We are helping to support the growth and development of more minority and women-owned real estate contractors and developers within the market. And also, we are providing access to capital for neighborhood-based small businesses and entrepreneurs through the CDCs that we work with. So specifically for the purpose of the funding that we have asked the county for, we are using this to back our program, Grow You. Grow You, we call it the Client University, where we are providing technical assistance to minority businesses that we have within the region. In addition to this, we are providing them opportunities for access to capital and small loans and grants where applicable. The program, pairs with our in-house entrepreneur in residence who also doubles as our Manager of Small Business Assistance. And he's the one responsible for the day-to-day engagement with the small businesses, even though as a team, we work very collaboratively. So at any given point in time, you would find Jeremiah pulling me into client meetings to provide additional support and advice. We have our president also coming in and supporting in that regard. VCC's coaching and counseling, we are assisting businesses in a range of things, and I'll share specifically some of the services that we provide to the small businesses in subsequent slides. The Grow You program is also home to our Black woman-owned business accelerator, where we are helping emerging small Black women entrepreneurs, giving them technical assistance, connecting them to some of the loan capitals and grants that we have within our organization to help them scale and grow. This program we launched in 2021 with a seed funding from the county. So in 2021, we received $500,000 from the county, and we've been able to leverage this to raise an additional $3.5 million, which goes into the technical assistance that we are providing, but also our loan and grant capital to some of these small businesses. So the program pillars, what exactly does Grow You do? So Grow You is providing financial coaching to small businesses that we are working with. And Jeremiah will share a success story briefly in that regard. We are also helping the small businesses with financial management. So part of what we've done with some of the small businesses we have is that we've seen from the research and from experience with a lot of small businesses that a lot of them do not have really strong back-end support or infrastructure. So a lot of them are doing the work, but they are not showing the right cash flow. They are not showing good income statements. They don't have all the information to file accurate taxes and all of those. So we've given a lot of the small businesses that we've worked with QuickBooks training, for instance, equipping them with technology to allow them manage their accounting systems better. We've also gone out of the way to provide free access, subscription, even up to 2 years for some of the small business for them to be able to access the technology that they need for some of this work. We are also preparing them with loan and investment readiness. So as I mentioned, you have businesses that are coming in and asking for loans, but you go back and you want to go into underwriting and you realize they've not filed taxes. They don't have their financial statements and none of those. So part of the work is what we do. We call it facilitated lending. So you could come to us and not have all the documentation that you need, but our work is to get you to the point where we are able to lend to you or refer you to some of the other partners that we have within the ecosystem for those access to capital needs. And the final thing is strategic planning for the small businesses and marketing and branding, which we realize are some of the greatest needs that these small businesses have in the area. Currently, we are providing between $50,000 to $250,000 in loans to the small businesses that are coming through our door. And then in addition to that, even though we don't advertise this widely because it's a small pool of money, when businesses come, sometimes we realize that what they need is not loan capital. Sometimes it's a small dollar. They need $5,000 as a grant to support some of the work that they are doing or get them out of a hole. So sometimes we make those decisions in-house. So between the coach and the rest of the team, we decide how much we are giving in terms of grants and all of those. Program outcomes. Through this program and from the success that we've already seen, having done this for the last 2 to 3 years now, we are supporting the profitability, growth, and sustainability of some of these neighborhood-based small businesses, not just through the technical assistance, but also through the grants and small loans that we are giving them. This is creating workforce development opportunities and employment for not just these business owners, but also some of the employees that they have. We also, through this program, and as we are still working, the goal is that every year we would be able to deploy up to $1 million in small business loans to some of their clients that we are working with. We are hoping that we would be able to provide capital to at least, up to 20 small businesses per year through this portfolio of Grow You that we are running at VCC. We also hope that through the coaching and the technical assistance, these businesses would, grow their business acumen, which we know would spill over to, the entire economy that we have in the region. I wanted to share this brief story of a client that we worked with recently. So the Mix Plumore Roller Rink was first established in 1942, and at the time it was so popular that it became acclaimed and known as the Cleveland's Black Skating Mecca. After decades and some of the other political history that we have in the area, it closed. But in 2019, we had it reopened. So a couple of Clevelanders came together and realized that there was a lot of history, cultural heritage, and legacy that this roller rink had. So they wanted to reopen it in Euclid. They did reopen it, but after years of operation, there were still some struggles and there were updates that needed to be done and all of those. So they approached VCC, and we've been able to provide some financing for them, not only to be able to acquire the space because they were leasing it, but also to provide them some additional dollars to do some light rehab and bring it back to its former glory. Okay, I think I may have already mentioned some of these program metrics. So they are the same outcomes that we measure to see how are we succeeding. So how much loans are we getting out there? How many clients are we working with? How many grants have we provided? How many hours of technical assistance are we giving? And all of those. And as we are looking at the clients, seeing how they are growing across the growth continuum. Impact milestones. So in the last year, and I think for the first time in VCC's 32-year old history, last year was the first time that I can say we made the loans that we made, majority of them went to BIPOC-owned businesses. So last year we made 80% of loans went to BIPOC organizations. And this was also through some of the impacts that we've been able to have with Grow You. We've provided over 150 hours of technical assistance and coaching. We've been able to preserve and maintain over 107,000 square feet of commercial space. We currently have over 22 new and emerging minority contractors that are enrolled in our Equitable Development Initiative and Contractors on the Rise programs, which are complementary to the Grow You program. 100% of grant making last year went to women-owned businesses, and we've been able to deploy over $5 million in loan capital and commitments in the last year. I will turn it over to Jeremiah to speak briefly about one of the clients that he's worked with, which is a success story and something we've seen a lot, and then I'll come back and talk about the budget.
Again, hello. Again, I'm Jeremiah Triplett Sr., the manager of Small Business Assistance. And first of all, thank you for this opportunity. There are small businesses in Northeast Ohio, Cuyahoga County, that struggle, right? Some of them need financing, some of them need coaching, some of them need advising, some of them need you to hold their hands, right? Some of them, a lot of them start business by themselves and they stay in business by themselves for a number of years. So what these programs do is to provide them the opportunity to have a partner in business with them. One of the stories that I'm going to share was with an immigrant. I'm not going to share the business name, but it's a flower shop, right? Being unaware of American culture, American business, they relied heavily on hard money loans, right? But we actually worked with that individual. We worked with that business owner, but that business owner also had personal struggles that was going on in their life. So as I'm coaching and advising, there was at one point I almost felt like I was a therapist, right? Because she was giving me a lot of her personal issues, but through actively listening to that small business owner, I was able to identify areas where I could effectively help her. And now that small business is close to a point of bankability. It's still some ongoing work that we're going to provide for that small business, but it just shows how just actively listening and providing coaching and advising can help a small business. And now that small business, again, is cash flowing and is close to a point of bankability, we got some more work to do, but it's just proof that these programs actually do work and they're needed. Thank you.
And I think the important thing that Jeremiah might have left out is that when we met this business owner, they had no cash flow. Their POS systems were not working. Yeah. They were indebted to their hard money lender, so every profit that they were making was going into paying this business. But we've been able to get them out of that situation, and now we have them on the pathway to be able to receive additional financing and grants from us to be able to grow their business further. And so that's the nature of work that we are doing at VCC. We are getting in the neighbors, we are meeting, working through the CDCs. Jeremiah is doing a lot of outreach with small businesses that are in the area. We are working through some of the local. Matter of fact, he will be on radio next week to talk about the services that we provide and all of those. So we have a pretty comprehensive program that we are running, and would appreciate the county's continuous support that it has given to us in doing this work. The budget that you see on the screen is the total budget for the program, of which the county funding is contributing to that. So you'd see that in total we are hoping, or we have a budget that estimates about $1.4 million for the next year in doing this work that we are doing, and some of that is for the loans that we are hoping to get out, the grants, the professional services, technology, marketing, the supplies, and some of the other stuff. So I'm not going to go over that in detail because it's in the packets that I'm sure you have. But having said that, thank you again for your continued support and for the opportunity to present to you this afternoon.
How did we want to work this? Did we want to, should we be asking questions to the village capital while they're up there, or should we finish it all the way up? Okay, so while you guys are up there, questions for village capital? Any? You indicated you got $1 million in your loan fund, and you heard my questions earlier about have you loaned money in the past? And what's your success rate in being repaid? You heard two presentations before about loan money that the county has loaned. What is your success rate in loaning money and getting your money back, and whatever technique? Grant, I understand the grant concept, but so staying just with the loans.
Well, I've been with Village Capital for 6 years now. And in the time that I've been there, because of how closely we work with clients, I've not seen loans default. My president is here. She has more information on the portfolio and the performance. But I would believe that, in the last 6 years that I've been there, I've not seen any loan default in that time. But I'll invite Dion to speak a bit more to that.
You use primarily grants and teaching, I assume.
Through the chair, we have loaned over 130 million right now. Since our inception, leveraged 1 billion. We have a loan loss rate of about 0.3 to 1% a year. So again, being very closely engaged with the clients, and we do high-risk lending in small business and in commercial real estate. So we are well secured, have a good loan loss reserve, and we are certified by the CDFI fund, which is part of the Department of Treasury. So we report all of our outcomes to them as well.
Good, thank you. Any other questions based on the chairs? Yes, Mr. Miller?
What is the source of the additional funding that was leveraged by the county funding that brought you to a pool of 3.5 million?
So we had some funding from the city of Cleveland. We have funding from the CDFI fund. We've had some of the local banks make program-related investments into the programs that we have. The approach to VCC's loan capital is we have a pool. And so when we are raising money for our capital pool, it's not specific to, it could be specific to programs, but we have a large pool that everything comes into, and then we allocate those funds to different programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we are currently in conversations to get some additional money from the city as well to contribute to some of the other work that we are doing.
Go get it.
Thank you.
Other questions for Village Capital? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just a reminder for my colleagues, we have five other groups that are going to be presenting, so it's okay to have brevity too. What's that? I have to leave. Okay.
Next presenter is Grow America.
We have chair. We'll still have quorum. Okay.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to come and talk to you about our program at Grow America. I'm going to talk a little bit about our history and our history in Cuyahoga County, and then I'll talk a little bit about the program that we've designed for this RFQ. So,
Ma'am, if you could state your name for the record, please.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Mary Lauk, Grow America Director of Credit. So you may have heard of us before. Our former name was the National Development Council. We've had a long history in the Cleveland and Cuyahoga County area. Last fall, we changed our name to Grow America. It's been a long transition, and people still remember us as NDC, so we are still keeping that kind of tagline. But we have been around since the Bobby Kennedy days. It came from one of their projects, and we are always looking for new and innovative ways to serve the client communities that are nearest and dearest to us. We were founded in 1969, so we have been around for a very, very long time, one of the older CDFIs in the country. And through our progression, we have been many things, but one of the things that we have been for a very long time is a lender. And our focus has always been on minority and marginalized areas of the country. So I'm not going to go through all of the tiny print on that, but that is, our history. And, what we focus on every day in all of the work that we do is trying to make sure that we can assist our communities in whatever way we can and whatever way they need us to. So we do have programs that we operate across the entire country, but we also have programs that we base solely on the needs of the community that we are working in, like Cuyahoga. We have a office down on Superior Avenue. We've been here for a very long time. We know Cleveland and Cuyahoga County very well. I'm from Youngstown, so very familiar with Northeast Ohio. But we take everything that we've learned from other areas of the country as well and bring it back to Cleveland, or at least I do. So we have been working with Cuyahoga County since 2006 in various different ways. We've had more than $39 million in lending go into Cuyahoga County through small business entrepreneurs. Many of those loans have been paid back and then reinvested back into new loans to the community. And of that $39 million, there's been 240 plus loans to small businesses. Those may not be unique loans. Those may be, one business received one or, multiple loans. But I would say at least 200 small businesses in Cuyahoga County have benefited from our lending. We have 5 different lending programs, which I'll go through here in a moment. And our lending is always focused on MWBE businesses. We are also a CDFI, certified through the CDFI Fund and Treasury, and that is one of the metrics that we are graded on, along with low to moderate income borrowers. So we have 2 different arms of our organization that lend funds out. First is our Grow America Fund. That is our 7A lender. There are many 7A lenders across the country. We are one of many, and we are able to leverage that through our Grow Cuyahoga County program. And then we also made a fair amount of PPP loans during the pandemic in this community. And then our second lending arm is our Community Impact Loan Fund. And through that fund, we have had the Capital Access Fund, the Cuyahoga County Stabilization Loan Fund, and the Cuyahoga Small Business Support Fund. So those are the different programs that we have operated in Cuyahoga County over the last 10 or more years. So through those programs, we have done $39 million in lending to 240 small businesses across 34 cities in Cuyahoga County. Our loan programs created 62 jobs, and 67% of the loan funds went to MWBE businesses. This is just a graphical representation of how those funds were split up. Most of that is through the Grow America Fund, which is the 7A lender, but we have deployed dollars in many different ways. So our Grow Cuyahoga County Fund is, as of this summer, we've made 57 loans to small businesses in Cuyahoga County. They tend to be a little bit on the larger side compared to our normal dollar amount. So they have average size of about $461,000 or so. And our smallest loan actually was only $30,000. This loan fund does not tend to focus on very, very small loan amounts. This tends to be the larger of the two. And 49% of those funds went to MWBE businesses. And the terms are there as well. Our Community Impact Loan Fund deployed dollars, $3+ million in the Capital Access Fund, $418,000 in the Small Business Stabilization Fund. We have deployed $300,000 through our Resiliency Loan Fund. And we have $600,000 in 2022 to 2023 through the Small Business Support Fund. And of those funds, 91% went to MWBE businesses. Our Small Business Support Fund was a equity accelerator model, which is also what our current proposal is for this fund. It was was a partially forgivable loan, and it helps jumpstart a business's equity on their balance sheet and helps with generational wealth building. We closed 14 loans to date for just over $600,000, and almost 93% went to MWBE businesses. Our Grow America match lending was just over $2.3 million, 7 loans closed, and 57% of those dollars went to MWBE businesses. So we've made a total loans of 99 in Cuyahoga County, and 91 of them have been to minority-owned or women-owned businesses. So generally, we have just had a very strong track record of deploying dollars to MWBE businesses, not only in Cuyahoga County, across the country. So this is very small, but it is a map of all of the different cities that we have deployed dollars in across Cuyahoga County. And it does show that, we do have an ability to reach out across the entire county to reach the minority business owners, even in the smallest of communities. This is one of our success stories. They received a loan through our Capital Access Fund, and it helped them purchase some additional machinery and equipment, and they actually have plans to continue to grow. They are looking to expand into Lakewood, and then they also have a plan to grow into Akron. While those are not Cuyahoga County, it does support the Northeast Ohio region as a whole. And they received a loan of $255,000 that created 20 new jobs. And we did Bloom and Clover Wax Studio in Ohio City, and they actually also worked with ECDI, which is also here today, and that was a $23,000 loan that allowed them to create 4 jobs and retain 2 additional loans. So that is our history in what we have done over the last several years. And the loan program that the loan and technical assistance program that we have put together for this program, we have a program that we call the Entrepreneurship Academy, and it mainly focuses on, but not only focuses on, financial literacy for the business owner. Many, many business owners are amazing at what they do, at what their service is. But they may not have the knowledge when it comes to their financial statements and, just the financial side of their business to understand what they need and how they need to grow. And unfortunately, it also leads them to be taken advantage of by unscrupulous people, whether that is lenders or accountants or what have you. So our aim is to give these business owners an understanding of how their business integrates with their financial statements and give them the knowledge that they can be able to look at their financial statements, be able to talk to their accountants about things and ask questions. So we have this program that we've designed. It is led by a trainer in our company that is actually located in Cuyahoga County, and it goes through modules in a virtual classroom setting that walks them through their whole financial life cycle. And then we also then provide one-on-one support for those business owners, how it relates to their business and their business cycle. And then once they have completed that program, they are then able to apply for a loan. Our loans will range from $10,000 up to $150,000. And towards the end of their loan, if they have done all of the requirements of the loan, which is basically they have to make their loan payments and they have to file their taxes and they have to stay in good standing within the county if they are licensed or what have you. If they do all of those things, the last 20% of the loan will be forgiven and they will not have to repay it. And that's the Equity Accelerator portion of the program. So We have deployed it in other areas. It has been successful, and we actually, in addition to the funding that we're receiving from this RFQ, we also have applied for and received funding through the CDFI fund to bring an additional $350,000 into the program into Cuyahoga County. So I think with that, I will open it up for questions.
Any questions?
Just a quick one, real quick. How do you market your services? Probably to all the groups that are here. I missed Kwame, and I apologize on the first round. But how do you market your services?
So we have, it's actually honestly something that we've spent a lot of time on in the last year with our name change. Marketing suddenly became a huge focus. So we have a multi-pronged outreach. We obviously work through some local partners. We've been working in the area for a long time. So we have local partners. We can reach out to them. We make sure that they are aware of our programs so that they can become referral sources to our program. Reaching small business owners, especially the smallest of the small business owners, mass marketing is not going to work with them. It needs to come from another trusted source. So we work with Black Business Owner Associations, the Urban League, things like, organizations like that to really give them the information about our program so that they can become a trusted source to the business owners that they're also serving or that are members of their organizations to be able to put those referrals in place. And then, of course, we have, the general marketing of, targeted marketing using electronic means, which is out of my wheelhouse.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, because I know that folks are probably looking at, okay, when am I going to get up here? If we could maybe try to keep everybody to a 5-minute presentation, I know that everybody would appreciate that. I know that we had great comments from all the other folks, but brevity is just as important to making your sale message as it is getting your message out there. So with that.
Mr. Chairman, you read my mind. Thank you for that. And committee, I do have a presenter change here because someone has a travel schedule. So instead of ECDI, I'm going to have UBIZ, Venture Capital, come up, and Michael Obey, and then right after that, it'll go back to ECDI.
Okay. And we do have everybody's slides here, so if you wanted to cover the slides from your own presentation, we can flip through the slide deck ourselves without necessarily having to have it up there if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
I'm not trying to cut anybody off. I'm just trying to recognize the time of everybody else in the audience too.
Okay, great. You've made life easy for me, so thank you.
I didn't say I was going to do that. Don't misconstrue my.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Actually, there's a change on our Miss Lisa Bray, who's our director for programs, was supposed to be here, but she had emergency. And this week is the National Urban League conference in New Orleans. So some of our teams are making plans for travel. So I'm going to be brief, but I just want to give you, which one to advance? Okay, great. So what we do, we'll start with that. We align.
Your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Michael Obey. I'm the president and CEO of UBIZ Venture Capital. I wear 2 hats. I also oversee economic development at the Urban League. We're strategically aligned with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. And you'll find out in the next few slides how we make that happen. But what we do is really to align intense technical assistance with access to capital. Our target is minority business owners and women business owners. And we put the phrase serious about profitable growth. So we do a lot of education about what profitable growth means. Because you could really be growing revenue, but we focus on how you grow it profitably so you can stay in business for a long time. Marsha Maccabee is my counterpart that runs the Urban League, and so we are strategically aligned. This next slide gives you a little bit of our history. Urban League historically has been known for workforce and training. Back in 2000, we saw a lot of exodus of companies from Cleveland, which impacted a lot of Black families. So we pivoted at the Urban League to start getting involved in entrepreneurship and creating jobs in the Black and brown communities through entrepreneurship. So we launched that with SBDC, which is an SBA program, Small Business Development Center. And we've successfully managed that business for 20 years. Last month was our 20-year anniversary. We also added State of Ohio Minority Business Center, so we manage 8 counties. Our director is Shoshana Duckworth, Cuyahoga County being the largest county of those 8 counties. 2011, we also added a new line of business to focus on accelerating businesses a little faster. We have a lot of mom and pop businesses in the Black communities that don't create jobs. So we started to have a focus on how do we create businesses in growth sectors that could hire people and create economic vitality in our communities. That initiative evolved into capital, access to capital. So we do our own lending. We started lending in 2021. And this slide, I'm going to jump through it for interest of time of how we align all these different entities to provide a holistic service to businesses, business owners. Here are some numbers of our highlights for 2023. We served almost 2,000 businesses last year, and this year we are projected to do 2,000. We do a lot of business startups in our SBDC, 31 of those, 485 jobs. Our economic impact, our direct economic impact, not theoretical. So these are real loans that we help to generate either internally or through our banking partners, $7 million last year and $23 million in capital. As far as our UBiz lending, we've done $2.5 million to 49 businesses. We also give out grants. We run a very successful Black restaurant program that emerged out of COVID. PepsiCo Foundation and National Urban League granted us to do that. So we give out $10,000 to each graduate of our accelerator program. Last week, we graduated the 4th cohort that received a total of $100,000. So we've given out about $500,000 through that program. These are direct grant to help these restaurants to buy new equipment and to pivot into online ordering because of COVID, customer behavior in ordering food through electronic means. Some of them are not equipped to do that. This is just some historical data. The takeaway from this busy slide is really COVID had made our service, demand for our service very, very exponentially grow from 1,000 to almost 2,000. So that's really the trend here. This proposal is really to continue to do what we do. We need resources. We leverage a lot of capital from the city. Department of Commerce also give us loan fund that we manage, First Energy and a few others. This was really to continue what we do. So hopefully I did that in 5 minutes. I don't know how I did. Colleagues, I know y'all wanted to come take over from me. Okay, thank you, sir.
So our money would represent just a little more than 10% of your loan portfolio?
Yeah,
or UBiz?
It's about 10% or less.
You said you did, well, it said you did 2.5 last year, and we're you're asking for 350.
Yeah, the 350 is not 100% loan fund.
Okay.
Because, there's a lot of work that go into making a loan. And that's why when you talk about, the technical assistance that go into these companies are not bankable yet. So you do a lot of hand-holding, documentation, and bookkeeping, and that kind of thing to get them bankable. So half of the fund we're estimating is going to be for technical assistance.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a rough idea how much of the 350 gets loaned?
Again, my estimation is by half, but when we start doing the work, we'll see what the trend looks like. But we're not going to give people a loan that can't pay back. So that's, it's a balancing act because these are loans that they have to pay back. So we're going to manage that carefully. So we'll give you capital when we feel you're a little ready to have the cash flow to repay the money back. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your flight.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, committee, next we'll have ECDI.
Okay. I mean, I think we've had ECDI in the past, I believe.
Back to their presentation, and they assured me that they are going to only need 5 minutes.
Okay. We'll test the theory.
Good afternoon. My name is Jasmine Dixon. I'm going to make sure you guys can get to your happy hour.
I'm not in a hurry. It's, I sense the uneasiness out in the audience, so I wasn't,
This is,
we spent 3.5 hours here the other day, so I guarantee we don't want to do that.
as I mentioned, my name is Jasmine Dixon. I am the Vice President of Business Growth Development and Fundraising for ECDI, and I am accompanied here by my team members, Nicole Liadis, Vice President of Entrepreneurial Programs, and Fonda Williams, Chief of Government Affairs and Economic Development. First of all, I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be here again. Okay. So I know you guys might have an idea already of what we do, but just to give a quick background, we were founded in 2004. We are a U.S. Treasury certified CDFI. We're actually the #1 SBA microlender in the country, based off of the volume of loans that we've been able to disperse to clients. We've done more than $185 million in lending. We serve the entire state of Ohio, including parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia. But in addition to our loan funding, we also act as a one-stop shop for small businesses at providing training, counseling, and incubation services. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds of this, but we do have a very strong structure within our organization, both from a personnel and infrastructure. And just to give you an example, we have here our president and CEO, but our executive leadership team has expanded even more into having a CFO, COO, and then we have Fonda here, who's actually the former deputy mayor of Canton as our chief of government affairs. Just a quick background on some of the things that we've done with you all in the past. In our partnership, we've dispersed more than $22 million all time with the help of Cuyahoga County. 43% of that going to women, 63% going to Black individuals, and 6% going to Latinx. Of that, those 22.9 million, 5.1 million actually came from funds dispersed by the county to us to loan out to clients. The biggest thing I also want to mention is with our partnership between us and the county, we've been able to create and retain 3,500 jobs. Just a brief on our actual programs. We do loans from anywhere from $750,000 to $2 million. Yes, we can go up to $2 million now if it makes sense. Our terms can go up to 10 years. Our average loan size is $30,000, and we can do loans, depending on the programs, down to as low as 2%. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do one-on-one assistance with from our relationship managers on the lending side, and then we offer technical assistance and in-depth training through our Women's Business Center and our Minority Contractor Resource Center. So I'm going to hand it off to my colleague here, Nicole Liadis, to talk about the work that we do with women entrepreneurs.
Thanks, Jasmine, and I'll be brief. So our Women's Business Center is a national program. There's 152 women's business centers across the country, and ECDI houses 5 women's business centers. And we actually just got awarded a WBC in Dayton area connected to Central State. So we are the only SBA-funded women's business center in the state of Ohio, and we are a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs. Although we are a women's business center, we do serve all entrepreneurs, and we do that through training, coaching, and access to capital. And then we do have statewide programming, and so I'm not going to name all of them, but one that's really important for this is that government contracting series that we will provide in partnership with our MCRC program. So I'm going to turn it over to Fonda.
Thanks, Nicole. Our Minority Contractor Resource Center program started in 2017. By way of history, there were 2 African-American general contractors in the Columbus market that approached our CEO, Ina Kinney, and said, we need to do a better job of grooming our own minority contractors throughout the state of Ohio because they were dying out. In conjunction with that, we had a very increased amount of construction projects taking place all over the state of Ohio. So it's necessary to create this particular program. Very similar to the work that is being done through our women business centers, we work with minority contractors, providing technical assistance, training, and most importantly, access to capital. We have identified several barriers for minority contractors, and therefore this program was geared to get rid of these barriers so minority contractors could scale and have the ability to have access to capital throughout the state of Ohio. Our program is unique in my perspective. We deal with clients in one of three different tracks. Track one would deal with those contractors who are very new to the construction industry, or it could be a residential contractor who now wants to transition over to being a commercial contractor. Track two is where we provide a lot of operational process support for minority contractors. And track three is really helping those minority contractors to scale and accelerate their services through mentorship programs. The heart of our Minority Contractor Resource Center, as I mentioned earlier, is technical assistance, training, and access to capital. Again, I don't have to tell you all the amount of construction that's taking place in Northeast Ohio, but I think this is one of the best programs in the state of Ohio being offered by ECDI. Thank you.
And then just to, I only have a quick.
Ma'am, if you could step into the microphone,
Sorry about
please.
that. So for our last grant period, Jasmine mentioned the 5.2 million dispersed, but I just want to have you take a look at the numbers of the Black and African American is 72%, and then over 60% are women. And then going into our future, I think we should skip that. Just go into the funding request. Yeah, there you go, Jasmine. Turn it over to Jasmine.
Thank you. For our funding request, we would like to use $300,000 for training and technical assistance, and then $683,000 to be deployed in funds for loan funds to MBE, SBE eligible businesses. We're anticipating about 300 individual clients will access at least one program element, whether it be loans, training, or technical assistance, and about 180 clients will complete at least one technical assistance category or receive a loan. And that concludes our presentation.
Questions? Yes, Mr. Miller?
Just a quick comment. I just want to highlight the slide that you put out about the barriers identified by MBEs, because it just aligns so closely with the things that we've discussed when reviewing our own disparity studies. And I would encourage all my colleagues to go back and take a look at that slide, because it really covers the waterfront on what the things are that the MBE community runs into. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I noticed your ratio was 1/3 training and 2/3 going into loans. So it's a little different than what we just heard from somebody else, but that's understandable. Now, but your program is quite a bit larger than most of these other programs that are coming up here, as far as on a national basis too.
So we are statewide, and then I would say semi-regional with some of the other states that we touch. Nationally, we are the largest. I mean, we are the #1 SBA microlender. Right. So from that perspective, and we've been doing this exact business of lending for the last 20 years. That's how the organization actually started. So we have accumulated a nice amount of clients, and we are very much grassroots in our approach and outreach of reaching with clients. We're using both grassroots, where we're going out and meeting them where they are, but then we're also meeting them where they are online, because as we know, a lot of people are using social media as a way to get information.
I think your founder actually came here and made a presentation for some of those early loans, funds that we provided from the county.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
I don't remember if that was 30 or 40 years ago that I remember in my brain, but
it was not 30 or 40 years ago.
No, I know that. I know. In my brain, 2 weeks ago, it was 30 or 40 years ago. I was trying to make some humor out of that, because I lose track of what I even had for breakfast this morning. So it does seem like a while ago, but I do remember meeting her, and it looks like her success is continuing out there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and committee, we're coming to the home stretch here. We're going to have Jumpstart, and then we're going to have Northeast Ohio Economic Development Center.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, Chairman, and to the committee. My name is Tellian J. Thomas. I'm the Chief Operating and Relationship Officer for Jumpstart, and I am joined by my colleague and team member, Patricia Adugevich, who serves as our Director of Small Business Services. So we, too, are going to keep with the spirit of brevity. I know we have had the privilege of coming before you before, so I'll assume some familiarity with the organization, but want to highlight some particulars as it relates to our impact data and outcomes regarding our service and support of diverse small businesses here in Cuyahoga County. And then Patty will share with you our actual programming service model, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. So I will start with our commitment around equity and inclusion that has been crafted and informed by our values that set the intention for our mission, which is very ambitious and seeks to unlock the full potential of entrepreneurship in order to transform entire communities. We have a program model that combines capital, services, and connections in order to fulfill that mission. And so today we're here to talk to you specifically on how we apply that model for small business. So under the grant program that's being administered by the Department of Economic Development, we have requested $330,000 to support this work. If that resource is approved, we would be able to leverage $2.9 million in our small business program for services to small businesses, coupled with $500,000 of capital that comes from Jumpstart's assets that will support the small business lending side of the program. This just represents our minimum commitment to small business for our current calendar year and is reflective of the floor, as I like to refer to it, that would be established going forward during the 2-year cycle of this current program. From a data perspective, we've been very fortunate since we began engaging and serving small business to serve a little bit over 2,100 small businesses throughout Cuyahoga County. Here is just a heat map that shows the distribution of where those small businesses are located. So as you can see, we've done a fairly good job of touching and serving and supporting small businesses across the geography. This just gives you another breakdown and representation of what that 2,100 pool of businesses consist of. So 1,400 are companies owned by women, just shy of 1,400 are owned by African American, and 220 are owned and operated by Latino and Hispanic business owners. Again, this is just a representation over the last handful of years, particularly looking at what unfortunately we refer to as the COVID years, recognizing that a lot of small businesses were stretched and challenged even greater beyond the existing barriers that most WMBE businesses face. But yet and still, we were able to provide services to them to help them either stabilize and in some instances help them grow and pursue through those challenging years. This is a representation of employment. So these are job creators, and we are very pleased with that, both in terms of W-2s as well as 1099s. So roughly 1,200 jobs over the last 4 years. And then here you can get a sense of the payroll that has been generated by these businesses. So again, we've been able to disaggregate this data based on Black business owners, Hispanic, Latino, and women. And this gives you a representation of the disaggregated data for revenue. So these are cash flowing, revenue generating businesses, and we're committed to helping them to continue to grow and scale over the years. Lastly, we began to provide lending, and I am pleased to say that our lending was seeded by authorization by our board using Jumpstart assets to create a capital pool for small businesses. And through that work, we also were able to partner with the county, again, during the COVID years, to disseminate lending capital that you also had available. So this shares with you what Jumpstart assets have been distributed by way of risk-friendly lending capital to small business, and then the additional resources that we have been entrusted by other sources to lend out to small business. Hopefully, some of you are familiar with our annual economic impact report. We shared that in May of this year. The data that I shared with you with small business as well as our tech services rolled up into $1.7 billion in economic impact this year for the state of Ohio. And so we're really pleased that we've been able to continue to contribute through partnership and collaboration and direct service to our entrepreneurs. So just by way of reminder, Jumpstart has been around since 2004, but we did not start engaging in small business services or lending until 2016 with services, and then 2019 with lending. So the data that I shared with you is representative of that time period. And so now I'll turn it over to Patty to talk a little bit about our small business services directly.
Thank you, Teleandre. So diving a little bit deeper into our small business services, we really break it down into 4 principal programs. And on this slide in particular, I wanted to highlight 2 of them. One being the Impacto program, which is one of our newer programs that we have directly reaching out to the Hispanic and Latino communities. We're currently on cohort 6 of that program. And then the Impact Plus, which was added this year to really help companies leverage technologies and help them scale in the 21st century. So we're currently on week 2 of that first cohort. But what you all probably know is our main program, which is the Impact program. We're currently on the 21st cohort of that program. This is a picture of our current cohort, and I just wanted to let you know some of the municipalities that they represent. We have 2 businesses from Cleveland, one from Lyndhurst, Warrensville Heights, Maple Heights. So really a diverse representation of all of the county. And I heard earlier that you're all going to be on recess next month. So if any of you are interested in attending our pitch competition on August 27th at Jumpstart, I would highly recommend and invite you to do that. So you really understand who are the participants of our program and how they anticipate to grow. And then in addition to the programs I just mentioned, we also have a number of different deep dive programs that, as the name indicates, dive deeper into particular topics that our businesses are challenged with. This year, we've added 3 individual programs, one on accessing grant capital in general, one on being a better leader and communicating with your team, and the last one for food CPG businesses so that they can continue scaling as they are selling their product in market. And I know one of your questions earlier was how do we outreach our clients? And so we do work closely with the number of CDCs within the city of Cleveland, but also the different municipalities and their economic development departments. And then our clients are the advertisement of our work too. A lot of them serve as a referral source for continued support in our programming. So I know we're short on time, so I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Patty. So in conclusion, again, we just appreciate the opportunity to partner with the county, serve small businesses in a very intentional way, and be part of the ecosystem of partners that have already been before you, who both understand the barriers and the challenges for diverse small business owners and be part of the solution to support them. So thank you.
And just, I know that one colleague had to leave early, and her comments, you were here early enough to hear her comments that some names and some brands seem to come before the Economic Development Committee for funding, and Jumpstart is one of those great brands in our region. But it seems to me what we need to do is separate what we've done in the past for startup companies and for growth opportunities from what you do for small business, for minority business, for this. It almost looks to me like a separate division. It's not Jumpstart as we have done funding in the past. It's Jumpstart on a new venture, it looks like to me. And I think that it perhaps might be even advantageous to use Jumpstart / whatever it is to better identify that this is a different piece of your business than what we've funded in the past. We've funded some pretty big checks in the past, but not for this purpose, for separate purposes out there. And so I only throw that out there because when we were funding businesses from 6, 8, 10 years ago when Jumpstart was first going down a different path. This is a whole different path, and I think that had my colleague Sunny Simon been here, she might have heard a different message from what was being presented here. And my suggestion would be to reach out to her and send her just this piece of the slide deck so she knows that it's a different part of Jumpstart. And I'm not trying to sell your product, but I'm just trying to create the message that when we fund, that people come, like the folks from ECDI have been here before. These are different stories that you're telling us, and I think that we need to make sure we emphasize those different stories when we're doing the funding out there.
Thank you for your comment, and we will definitely follow up.
Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from my colleagues as a result? Okay, I think we have one left.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman and committee, this is our final presentation for.
It's just as important as all the other. No, I'm serious. Just because we have gone over what our time limit is, our time doesn't have a limit, to be honest. We're here for you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Janice Contreras. I'm the president and CEO of the Northeast Ohio Hispanic Center for Economic Development. We are not a usual suspect. So here's an instance where
those weren't my words, by the way.
we were totally my words. Totally were able to respond to the RFQ, and we're successful in getting through the first hurdle. So we're especially grateful to be here along with all of our colleagues that work on minority and women-owned businesses throughout our region. I'm here with Randy Cedeno, who is the director of our Small Business Development Center, along with my colleague and partner, Carrie Miller from the Hebrew Free Loan Association. Specifically to our organization, we have I don't know how to, there, the big green one. Yes, so 3 things that we do at the Center for Economic Development. One is we are the home to the Northeast Hispanic Chamber. There are 5 Hispanic chambers throughout the state of Ohio, and so this is our region. Through our business center, we do all of the entrepreneurship services, so primarily the work that we're talking about today, and then we're also involved in some grassroots community development efforts around revitalizing community retail corridors, specifically in the near west side of Cleveland. So just kind of how we go about our work. With our services through our Small Business Center, obviously the Small Business Development Center and Minority Business Assistance Center are the core of our work. We are new to the MBAC program. We just got designated as an MBAC as of January of this year, along with the Urban League. So the Urban League also has SBDC and an MBAC program. And so we are what's called a Tier 1 to really help startup businesses be able to have a business plan, get their financials in order, and be able to become certified as minority-owned, women-owned, or veteran-friendly businesses, organizations. So to be able to house these services in our office enables our ability to do it in a multilingual, multicultural way. We are the first multilingual MBAC in the state of Ohio, and so working with our colleagues in the Department of Development to really expand services and make sure that specifically the Latino community and Latino entrepreneurs have access to these services. Here's our impact report specifically to the services that we provide. This is our 2023 number. So just to give you a sense, about 1,700 clients a year. The bulk, 80, I think it's, I can't see very much, 74% minority. So these are the folks that we're talking about, 53% women. So this is actually the target audience that we're trying to reach with the funding opportunity through the county. Out of the 76% minority, over 80% are Latino, and for the most part, monolingual. So we do a lot of our programming in English, Spanish, and Spanglish, depending on what's easiest to communicate. The numbers that you see here reflected are only through our SBDC program. It does not include our MBAC MBAC numbers since we just started in January. And so, again, we've been doing a lot of work in a very tiny organization and very under-resourced. So looking forward to seeing what this looks like once we're able to put in the results of our new efforts with the MBAC program. When the opportunity for the RFQ came up, and one of the things that I've been challenged in for the last 10 years is really ensuring the access to capital gets to Latino-owned businesses, and yet there seems to still be plenty of barriers. I am grateful to my colleagues at ECDI and Jumpstart for making initiatives very Latino-focused and specific, yet still we're not quite where we need to be around equity and access to capital. Yet we're not a lending organization. We are strictly technical assistance. Because of the need, we will eventually become a lending entity, but right now we do not have that capacity. And so we definitely wanted to partner with someone that shared our mission around this opportunity specifically, and that's where HFLA comes into play. We also have specific needs to a project that we have in the near west side of Cleveland, which is Centro Villa 25. The county gave us an economic development loan for that project, as you remember, so there's already county investment in that, along with ARPA funds that our councilperson, Sweeney, was able to allocate for the project. So we're at the point that we're almost done with construction and hope to have you guys over for a hard hat tour pretty soon. But now we have the 20 micro retailer businesses that are going to open there, and so their need for capacity in capital. So when the opportunity came up, we responded for the purpose of being able to have some capital available to help the businesses with some startup expenses. So we're talking less than $30,000 micro loans that would be done through the Hebrew Free Loan Association to, again, help these starting entrepreneurs going on. So while we've been doing construction, Randy has also been focused on the programming, which is really building up, making sure that the entrepreneurs that are going to go into the Centro Villa market are prepared. So they have their business plan, they know what their startup expenses are, they have a marketing plan, they know how they're going to go to market as soon as we open the doors of Centro Villa by the end of this year. So again, that's kind of where the HFLA relationship came from. You know, there obviously, I'll turn it over to Carrie to tell you a little bit about HFLA, and I think it'll be very obvious. You know, we're two tiny organizations really trying to tackle some really grassroots issues for entrepreneurs, and so natural partner for us.
Hello, my name is Carrie Miller. I'm the Executive Director for the Hebrew Free Loan Association. I know we're going quickly, but we were founded in 1904, 120 years ago. So we've been doing one thing for 120 years. We've been making small loans to individuals in the Northeast Ohio area. Currently, we serve Cuyahoga and the 6 contiguous counties. The majority of our work, as our office is based in Cuyahoga, the majority of our lending happens in Cuyahoga County. We don't just do business lending. We actually have a broad scope of lending. We have a standard loan that is any financial need, many financial needs that should arise. We have a small education loan. We have an auto loan. All of our lending is interest-free. We were founded in the Jewish tradition that you do not charge interest to those who cannot afford it. The majority of our loans, of our lending, about 75%, happens in communities of color. About 85% of our lending or higher is to low to moderate income communities, and about 60% of our lending happens with women, not to women. Again, we were founded in 1904. In 2023, we made 104 loans totaling $700,000. That was across all of our lending. 8 of those loans were to micro businesses. These are typically sole proprietors, small businesses, people who are just trying to start out. We make loans to startups, which is a very difficult area to get lending in, as I'm sure all of you know, as well as businesses who are looking to grow. The thing that is the greatest deterrent to a loan for HFLA is that you are too successful. We make loans. We are here for people who have difficulty and face the barriers that we've been talking about today, accessing traditional capital. Of the 1.3 million loans circulating in the community, overall, 30 of those loans are to businesses totaling about $280,000. I just listed some of the requirements and the terms for our lending. Over the past 8 years that we've been tracking our lending, we have an average of a 3 to 5% default rate annually for all of our lending. Our business loans have historically performed better than most of our other lending areas. Again, more about the process. We are a nonprofit lender. We are not a CDFI. We are not a traditional financial institution. So we raise dollars from the community in order to lend back out to those who need our support. In that, our process is a little bit different in that the final lending decisions are made by our board of directors, who are 17 people who are committed to the mission of the organization. And that's it.
Just the last thing I'll add for the purpose of this request, the $650,000 over 2 years, $531,000 will go to the lending. And I recognize that leaves a whole lot of technical assistance that happens. We will leverage our other resources for the technical assistance, but really felt committed that we really needed to get this capital out to entrepreneurs, and hence why we made that decision to put the bulk of it and to go to the interest-free loan program with HFLA.
Questions? Comments? Well, I know that one of the things I need to make sure we have clear understanding is it's not a tour we're looking forward to. It's looking for the food that we were told when the presentation was done. I heard just phenomenal things about what was going to be the offerings over there. And so we're looking forward to that.
You will not be disappointed. Actually, we have 20 businesses that will be in the kiosk program. 12 of them have already signed a lease agreement, and that includes all of our food. 8 of them are food. So I
remember hearing that pitch, and to our colleague, Mr. Sweeney out there, was a big proponent of this. So with that, thank you very much. Very appreciative. And thank you very much for everybody being here. When you get a slide deck that has over 65 or 70 slides in it, if you just do the math, it's 1 minute to a minute and a half per slide. So that's traditionally what the standard number is out there. So with that, thank you for being here. We know you're doing God's work, and we appreciate that and all you're doing. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. That concludes the presentations for the Small Business Supports Grant.
Well, yes. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
So, just a comment. We've been talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion for over an hour now, and it's a good thing. My definition of economic success is not how large the economic product is, but if it's more people are succeeding than we're succeeding before. And I just want to remind everybody that we should not take this effort for granted. In other parts of the country, DEI is under attack by people who want to turn back the clock and end or curtail these programs. But it's a good thing for Cuyahoga County that we're trying to help people do business that haven't been able to do business before, and we should embrace it and explicitly support it as a worthwhile thing to do. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Any other comments? Well, and anybody who knows my background and has read anything about me, then you probably know that in my faith-based life, there only needs to be one letter, and that's I. And that is, if I've included everybody on God's earth, I've covered every single person. There is nobody that's left out of that equation. So I'm a big fan of inclusion, including everybody, and whether you see my own business that I run or what I do in the rest of my life out there. So with that, do you have a close that you'd like to make?
No, just thank you so much. I'm just honored to be here. I look forward to continue the work with these great organizations. Like I said earlier, this really corresponds and aligns perfectly with the county's Office of Small Business that was launched and the work that we're already doing there. So I'm just really excited to continue this work. Thank you so much.
Okay, I asked you there real nicely. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the close?
Yeah, no, I know.
I'll be less than subtle if you would like me to.
Suspension.
This is not an ARPA funding project.
So no, that's it. I think.
Would you? Okay.
Would I like, please?
Yeah, would you like this to move at a faster pace?
Yes.
I'm trying to hint here.
Yes.
I'm trying to get the words out of your mouth.
Yes, I would.
Okay, all right. So the chair will move for this to be, to go before for a second reading, suspension at the next council meeting at the end of the month. So is there
Second.
to move in a second? Okay, and I'd like to have my name. I ordinarily don't put my name on things I didn't do the groundwork on, but this is one in which I feel like I've done the groundwork by being here, part of this project out there. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Chair, I'd
Mr. Miller, I'd be
also like
willing
my
to bet
name-
would like his name on.
I'd also like my name added.
Yes.
Thank you.
Miller and Byrne.
Okay, there we go. We have, the committee is all set to go. It's been moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Good luck, congratulations. Put this money to work, and we're all excited about it. At the risk of asking, is there anything else to come before the committee? Thank you. No.
Not